Okay, I think we are live, everybody. Well, first and foremost, happy Monday. It is May 16th, 2022, and the markets did fall a little bit. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average all down in trading today. But I think the most important thing that we need to talk about today is some of the manufacturing data that we have. So the New York Empire State factory activity showed extreme weakness in May. The index plummets to negative 11.6 from 24.6 in April. Many economists were forecasting a 16.5% reading, so coming in really below estimates here as manufacturing activity is falling off a cliff, which is not good because I believe this is the third back-to-back month that manufacturing activity is falling. So if you guys want to read a little bit more into the report, if you type !Empire, E-M-P-I-R-E, I dropped the link to the entire report so you could read it for yourself. But the New York Fed's Empire State Business Conditions Index, a gauge of manufacturing activity in the state of New York, plummeted 36.2 points to negative 11.6 in May. That is not good. That is definitely not good. And, a couple streams ago, I should say about 2 or 3 weeks ago actually now, we got the manufacturers purchasing index, which actually came in lower than expected. So usually a reading in the PMI below 50 signals contraction within the manufacturing sector of the economy. So I think it's pretty much, we could say for definitely that we are already technically in a recession. Usually by the time the numbers come out, which is 2 back-to-back quarters of contracting GDP, usually by the time those numbers come out, we can pretty much say that we've probably been in a recession for quite some time. So we'll talk about that. We'll go into the report a little bit more. But a quick check on futures here. If we look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average futures, the YM, we're up about 35 points. The ES, or the S&P 500 E-mini futures contract, we're up about 6 points. So pretty much fractionally across the board. And the NASDAQ 100, we are up about 38 points. So pretty much up fractionally across the board. But guys, most importantly, let's see who we have in the chat here today. Another thing I wanted to note, crude oil is now trading above $110 a barrel again. We are seeing reports from Sri Lanka that they are completely out of oil, which is causing some riots and things like that. So we will be on the lookout to see if some of that stuff spills over into other emerging markets and other nations going forward. But let's see who we have in the chat. I see Otto is here. Welcome, Otto. Winger says, hey, Tom. Mr. Ming says, Tom, what's up? The ABX girl, welcome. Brittany McMurdy says, evening, Tom. Good to see you, Brittany. Samantha R says, hey, Tom and everybody. Good to see you, Samantha R. Exploration, Jane M. Sunshine After Rain, Lena Sandoval. Photos from around New York, welcome. Guys, so we are sitting down right outside of the FTX Arena. This is right where the Miami Heat play basketball. It's going to be a relatively short stream. I'm going to say probably about an hour to an hour and a half. I did start late because I got off of work quite late today. James says, welcome, Tom. Welcome, James. Good to see you. Gregory says, good evening, fam. What's up, Gregory? Samantha J says, good evening as well. And Line Sync. St. Jib says, hey, Tom, how are you? From Montreal, welcome. Lurden says, hey, Tom, hope you're well. I am doing very well. I hope you are doing fantastic. So let me just put my computer away here, and then we will get started on the stream. Because for some reason I cannot turn my stream on without turning on my computer first, which is quite interesting. But diving into this report here a little bit, guys, we'll go into it a little bit later in the stream. But the new orders index dropped 33.9 points to negative 8.8 in May. And the shipments index plunged 49.9 points to negative 15.4. Unfilled orders fell 14.7%, or 14.7 points to 2.6 in May, while delivery times slipped 1.6 points to 20.2. There were declines in both input and selling prices, but not enough to signal any cooling of inflationary pressures. So maybe a little bit of a demand problem there showing up in the report, but we'll talk about it a little bit more. I was very surprised by just how horrible the report came in. This is now the third time the report, in terms of the Empire Manufacturing Index, came in worse than expected, which is not good. Which is not good overall. But usually, even if we do go into a recession, an official recession, I think you're going to start to see people on TV really overblow it, right? Because if we really do go into a recession, that means, well, we've already been in a recession. Does that make sense? And life goes on, things go on, and, we'll get through it just as we always do. So I think stocks do have a little bit of a ways to fall. I think in some specific areas of the market, I do see deals, I do see value there. But you guys know me, I do not like to bottom fish individual stocks. However, I was talking about this to my friend today. If you are in a retirement account, and especially if you're under the age of 40, should the S&P 500 come down to the lower teens in terms of a forward PE multiples, historically that is always a really, really good buy. And I think we're getting down to those levels now. So, right as the market topped, we were trading at 24 times earnings, all of these crazy things on the S&P, and you just want to buy the index maybe in like a retirement account and hold it for 10, 20 years. Statistically, you'll probably still come out ahead. I think in the 2008 financial crisis, the S&P 500 got down to as low as 8.8 times forward earnings. I don't think that this is similar to the financial crisis, but we will see. But the Fed is the driver, right? The Federal Reserve is the number one driver here. It doesn't matter about earnings. It doesn't matter about the economy. If we slip into a recession, the number one driver of equities prices is the Federal Reserve. And right now, Fed Chair Jerome Powell is keeping steadfast in his promise to not only increase interest rates, but to unwind that nearly $9 trillion balance sheet. So, as we move on into or deeper into the year, especially during midterm elections, should that CPI number come down from the crazy elevated levels that it is at right now, which is about at 8.8% inflation, should things come down, maybe the Federal Reserve will consider shifting course and actually lowering interest rates, and I think that'll put a pretty nice bid under the market. Marty Lewis is here. Welcome, Marty Lewis. It's good to see you. I hope you're well. Middle class is where you heavily invested into the market. Yeah, so I have two accounts, one of which is just my retirement account, which is just indexed to the S&P 500. Which I never sell, and I'll never sell that until I'm like 70. So I think I have a couple of years. But in my actively managed account, I think this is the highest levels of cash I've ever had in that account, going back to 2014, 2015 taper tantrum days. So I'm about like 92%, 93% cash. Awaiting a follow-through day. Hey, Bernard Friedman is here. Says, hey, Tom. Hey, Bernard. Good to see you. Sunshine After Rain says, hello, everybody, and welcome. Good to see you, Sunshine After Rain. Middle class says, did you go to the Elon event in Miami today? I didn't even know there was an Elon event in Miami. What event was that? Ryan says, good evening, Tom, and everybody. Lightning watch again. Yes. So I did see some lightning over here near the Frost Science Museum. We'll make our way over there shortly for sure. But yeah, there's been a ton of heat lightning as of late. Jules says, gleeful new subscriber. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Much appreciated. Apologize for streaming a little bit late tonight. Office Vinny Castellano is here. Says, hello, Tom. Good to see you. Says, welcome from Vinny and Maria. Obviously, always tuning in from Staten Island. So it's good to see you. Let's check out the water here a little bit. Maybe we'll get to see some additional heat lightning here. But one of the other things I wanted to bring up today, aside from the Empire Manufacturing Index, which cratered, if you guys want to read the full detailed report, if you type !Empire in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link where you could sift through that report and read it for yourself. We're seeing a big bid in oil again. So if you want to follow that futures contract of crude, ticker symbol CL, you will be able to see it. I think we were trading at one point $112. And this is a little bit concerning because we are starting to hear murmurs and whispers in the market that we could, not really mainly in the United States, we are sort of hearing a little bit of that, but places like Sri Lanka, I was reading a lot about oil shortages, crude shortages, petrol shortages in Sri Lanka, where essentially the only thing that they have left is 1 day's supply of petrol. And what this is causing is mass riots. And this is not good. This is definitely not good, because that has the potential to cause contagion effects in other emerging markets. Now, hopefully things won't get that bad. But obviously with the Russia-Ukraine situation, that being one, I don't really want to blame everything on that situation. I think that our administration, the Biden administration, just blames the Russia-Ukraine situation for all of our problems, especially inflation, which is just really, I think, disingenuous to the audience, and the audience being the people of the United States. I mean, inflation was ramping before Russia ever invaded Ukraine, and that's because we printed trillions of dollars for COVID and gave everybody a bunch of money. And, you know, I was talking about this with my friend, and here's something interesting. So the government printed all this money and started handing out everybody checks of $1,400. Everybody felt good, and it was great. But then, if you look at the data, the cost just to survive and live went up about 10% for everybody. So almost entirely negated the benefits of the stimulus checks in and of itself. So it's essentially like we just completely printed all that money for nothing. And now that equities markets are coming down, the NASDAQ 100 is down about 26%. There's a good possibility that we revisit the COVID highs. And if that's the case, all of this stimulus is for nothing, and all of that wealth will be wiped out. So I think this just goes to show that printing money and Keynesian economics and all this nonsense, it doesn't work, it never works. I think it only works for kicking the can down the road a little bit. But it's definitely unfortunate that we could potentially see gas shortages here in the United States as well. But in Sri Lanka right now is a complete and total shortage. I think they only have 1 day's supply of petrol. Chris Beeman is here. Welcome, Chris. I hope you are doing fantastic. Good evening to you. Matthew P is here. Says, good evening, Tom, old chap. Welcome. So everybody, we are right outside the FTX Arena overlooking the beautiful downtown Miami. Herbert says, Tom, for the record, I received no check or handout. Yeah, and I think that, appreciate that, Herbert, but I don't want it to come off as I'm saying the people who receive them, if the government's gonna, give you something, I would definitely take it. But I think it got to a point where it got a little bit overextended and maybe used for political reasons. Because, I mean, anybody with just a basic understanding of economics, if you print almost 90% of all the existing dollars in a year, there's probably going to be some sort of ramifications on that. So I think we probably could have solved it perhaps a little bit different. But then again, talking in hindsight, that really does no good. That really does nobody any good to point fingers. So I guess we just have to unfortunately deal with the hand we were dealt. And, I just think it's a little bit disingenuous for our government to blame everything on this Russia-Ukraine invasion when inflation was ramping well before that. But check out this bird right here on the side of the dock, everybody. It looks like he's about to go in and dive after a fish. Check him out. He's definitely eyeing something in the water. Herbert says, Tom, eventually the bill will come due. Good to see you, Herbert. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that I underestimated ever since I was in college is just how long the Federal Reserve, the analogy I like to use is, if you have like a court jester or something, they're juggling balls in the air. I mean, I think the Federal Reserve has juggled those balls in the air far longer than anybody could have ever imagined. Steven says he's eyeing himself like he's damn good looking today. I know. That bird almost doesn't look real. But maybe we'll get to see some manatees or dolphins in the water tonight. Triple G says, Tom, futures are green across the board. Crude is at 114.44. Warren Buffett increased his stake in Oxy Petroleum. Yeah, and so have you been following what's going on in Sri Lanka, Triple G? I think a lot of emerging market countries are going to get crushed with this. And if you run out of petrol, I think Sri Lanka only has 1 day's supply of petrol. And we are starting to see videos surface. I was reading one CNN article where it showed a video of people stampeding through the streets and attacking any sort of government official or politician who has all the wealth, or just any wealthy person. And that's sort of what a societal decline looks like, right? It's almost every person for themselves. And this is why I've been so outspoken about my thesis on the United States about the coming two-tier society. Because, I mean, the data is so conclusive here in the United States that we are on a one-way path to an exponential expansion of the wealth divide. And obviously you guys know my reasoning about that. Central banking, money printing, stimulus. It really only impacts or helps the top 1% of Americans, because those are the people who own all the assets, right? So if you're going to print trillions and trillions of dollars, not only do you get inflation in the prices of food and oil and things like that, but also in the prices of homes, in different types of real estate, commercial real estate, equities, and the vast majority of people who own these things are not the average American. So what happens is you have almost a runaway exponential growth curve in the wealth of the top 10 and 5 and 1%, and it leaves everybody else behind. But that can only last so long until there's some sort of a societal tipping point where you start to get riots and civil wars and things like that. Now, I'm not trying to sound like an alarmist, but Ray Dalio published a fantastic new book talking about exactly this. The rise and fall of empires, how to understand credit cycles. And I'm not saying that's going to happen here in the United States. I still think we could salvage it and change it, but not if we continue all of this central banking and money printing. Sunshine after rain is a beautiful view tonight. Yeah, it's very calm, actually. Very, very calm. Right at about 4:30, 5 o'clock here in Miami, it was probably some of the biggest downpours I've ever witnessed in my life. The wind was like a mini hurricane. It was crazy. At least in North Miami Beach, it was like that. The wind was insanity. It's probably 60-mile-an-hour winds, crazy amount of rain, all for like 30 minutes, and then it stopped. It's kind of weird. Abdullah is here. Welcome, Abdullah. It's good to see you. Sabrina Fair, always a pleasure. SCGT says 86% of wealth being skimmed from economy, and that percent is going up. That has to change. I agree. Savi is here. Welcome. It's good to see you. Chris Beeman says no storms tonight. We had a little bit of a storm earlier in the day. Pacifics has gotta say the scenery is looking great tonight. Thank you. Big World DDD says just like physics, the usual immutable laws of economics will have their say. Love that saying. Love that saying very much. So in other news in the housing market, so there was an interesting article out of the Wall Street Journal today. Hold on one second. I think my comments are going crazy here. Hey, Charlie Richardson is here. Says, hey everybody, good to see you. Jason Francis says, hello Tom, chat, and crew. Welcome. Winger says, Tom, I heard that Bitcoin is down. Is that true? Please answer the question. Yeah, so Bitcoin is going down. So if you follow me on Twitter, at Walks Wall Street, and you follow the Behind the Street newsletter, is a free financial newsletter I send out to everybody usually on Tuesdays. My price target, I think Bitcoin and Ethereum will correct to their 200-week moving averages, which is right around 21 to 25,000. If you look back at historical trends going back all the way to 2012, usually long-term corrections in Bitcoin tend to end with a capitulation to the 200-week moving average, which would imply about a 75% correction from our peak of roughly 68,000. But that's just my opinion. Bagels and Walks is here, says, good evening, Tom, and have a safe walk. Thank you. I appreciate that very, very much. Hey, Andre Brown. Oh my God, long time no see. Hopefully everything is going well in your world, Andre. It's very good to see you back here again. We are in downtown Miami with a beautiful view tonight. Lurden says the wealth problem will never change as long as we have the government, their fingers in the money supply. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Mr. Ming says we should go see the Miami Bowl. Maybe we'll make our way over there tonight and see that Miami Bowl. So one of the other things that we've been talking about, obviously interest rates are going up, which means it's making home affordability a little bit more expensive. So there was a really good article today in the Wall Street Journal about how people were putting down deposits on new construction, which is normal, right? So if you're not buying existing home sales, so there's a difference. Existing home sales is, like that home I bought, which is from the 1950s. Whoa, look at that moon, my God. Check that out. Sorry for the distraction there, but I mean, man, that thing looks like the sun. So new home sales, here's one of the main problems that we're starting to see. And it's very interesting how all of these turned events are playing out. So I think it breaks down into three distinct problems. We'll unpack them each. And we'll unpack each of those problems. I don't really want to call them problems, but I don't know any other word to call them. So essentially, we are suffering from a shortage of supply of housing in America. Everybody knows that. So there's been a lot of people that have been going out and purchasing new homes, like new construction, where they would have to put down a deposit or something like that. But the article, which is totally spot on, because we've been talking about this a long time on the stream, was talking about it's been taking longer than normal to actually build, construct, and finish a brand new single family home for a couple of reasons. Number one, massive labor shortages. So there's actually a huge shortage of skilled labor in the United States right now. So a lot of these single family home builders, they just don't have enough people to support all these construction projects. So that's number one. Number two is the constant increase in the raw materials used to build homes, right? The price of lumber is going through the roof, copper, all the different wiring for the house, different types of granite for like countertops and things like that are in very, very short supply. So what happened was these people were putting down all these deposits on the homes, but they were doing that probably about 2, 3, 4 to even 6 months ago. The homes are still not ready, so as they're going through the financing piece, where were interest rates 6 months ago? Anybody know? Interest rates 6 months ago were sub 3%. Where are they at now? Well, interest rates now are definitely not at 3%. They're actually encroaching on time ever since 2011. So that's creating a huge problem for these buyers that have already put down a deposit on the house. So They were interviewing this one couple. They already put down a deposit on the home. And they said when we were making our budget, whoa, guys, look at that. Maybe we'll get to see some manatees tonight. But they said when they were going to put down, oh, look, oh, it's a dolphin. So sick. All right, I'm going to put the talk on pause for a minute. Maybe we'll get to see him again. Oh, there he is. Nice. So essentially, they put down the deposit, but let's say they were planning on their mortgage payment to be $2,500 based upon the 3% interest rates. Well, there's no 3% interest rates anymore. Now interest rates are 5%, so they're trying to back out of the deal. The only problem is if they back out of the deal, they are forced to forfeit their deposit, which could be a huge, huge issue. So a lot of people are actually overextending themselves now for the home. Can you guys see this? The dolphin in the water? I wish I had a flashlight to show you guys. I could see him perfect here, but there's a beautiful dolphin in the water. Tom AK says, is that a manatee? No, it's a dolphin. But that's just one of the other things I wanted to bring up, because there's a lot of people that have already put deposits on homes yet, but they have not secured the financing for it. So either one of two things. They now have to go in with the rate lock, in which if you go in with the rate lock, you're actually going to lock in at higher interest rates than it is now, but you're guaranteed that, when the project is complete, if rates go to 10% or something crazy, at least you'll be spared a little bit. So definitely a lot of issues on the horizon I'm seeing. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more people back out of deals and forfeit their deposits, or they're going to be forced to stretch their budget, which is never good. Bit of Wanderers here says, hey, good to see you. Arnold, welcome. Bernard Friedman says, Tom, your phone has a flashlight. It does, but I don't think I'm allowed to turn it on when I'm streaming. Middle class says, that's interesting. Tom AK, good to see you. Abdullah. GGMYC says that is cool. Well, let's see what these guys are doing here. So does anybody know what they are fishing for? Maybe it's, I don't even know. I really don't know. Lisa's here. Welcome. Good to see you. Rich is probably a U.S. Navy SEAL checking you out, Tom. Could you imagine? Yeah, the Navy SEALs are watching the stream from the Miami Bay here. I don't even know if this is called the Miami Bay, but it's beautiful here, by the way. If you ever want to visit Miami, you got to come here. You have a beautiful full moon overlooking the bay. If we ever get a chance to stream during the day, you guys could see just the sheer amount of dolphins that jump in and out of the water, which is fantastic. But Cynthia Beal says, Tom, since you stream at night, perhaps you should have a small flashlight. Yeah, I thought about it. I think I'm going to get a flashlight for sure. I'm definitely going to get a flashlight. Let's see if they pull up anything. Bit of Wanders is probably catching bait in those nets. Maybe. I think you're right. Oh, there was the dolphin again. Let's see if we can see him one more time. If you look right around this area, you'll see him. Hey, Jared says, I wonder if homeowners insurance policies cover the actual cost of replacement given extreme increase in material and labor. Well, Jared, that's actually so interesting you bring that up. So I was reading an interesting article, and it says that now that the vast majority of homes have appreciated in value, you should probably revisit your insurance policy. And the reason why I say that is because your policy is probably predicated on a rebuild value that is now out of date. So let's say if your rebuild value is $250,000, but now your home is worth $400,000 for whatever reason, right? If you don't update your policy and God forbid something happens, well, now you're kind of out of luck. And I don't think a lot of people are as on top of it as you might think on that type of stuff. So any homeowners in the chat, I would definitely consider doing that, either updating your policy or whatnot. Carol H is here. Says, hey Tom and everybody, good to see you, Carol. So Carol, you just missed it. We just saw some dolphins here, and I'm just waiting for this guy to pop up one more time, and then we'll continue on with the stream. But those are some of my favorite animals, so I like checking them out. Ibrahim Azam is here. Good to see you. Penelope says, hey Tom, just walked into flashlight talk and insurance talk. Very interesting. Yeah, Penelope, good to see you. We're checking out some of the dolphins here as people are fishing for, I'm actually not too sure, maybe bait fish, something like that. But we were talking about the Empire State manufacturing numbers, which cratered, came in much, much lower than expected. So manufacturing, unfortunately, is falling off a cliff. Oh, what was that? And we also talked about price of crude oil is going back up. So we traded above $110 today. I think we're sitting at, on the CL, ticker symbol CL, crude oil futures about 114, which is not good. News out of Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is actually experiencing severe petrol shortages. And from last report that we heard today from Sky News, there's only about 1 day's supply of petrol for the whole country, and then they are out. They are done. So that is causing a lot of civil unrest and other things, which is never good to see. So hopefully this won't be some sort of a contagion spilling over into other emerging market countries. The Ralph is here, says, hello Tom, catching the view of that dolphin is like trying to see shooting stars. You always catch a side glimpse. I know. That's so true. Well, maybe if we walk down here, we'll see them. We'll just do one quick lap down here. But this is directly behind the FTX Arena. And this is the view of downtown Miami. 1000 Museum is the main cool looking building right here. This is probably my favorite spot in Miami to get a view of the skyline. Arun Z says, good evening Tom, good to see you, Arun Z. So now that we covered housing a little bit, I wanted just to take a quick poll in the group here. In your neighborhoods where you guys live, all across the United States and in the world, and maybe even some of your friends that you're talking to, maybe they are still thinking about pulling the trigger on a house or pulling out of the deals. What are you guys seeing? Is the market still crazy in your neck of the woods? Are things still nuts with people overpaying for houses? Or are people starting to feel the pinch of higher interest rates and potentially walking back some of their enthusiasm about this market? I'd be interested to see what you guys say. I think the best sort of market research is not always just reading the paper and reading articles and things like that, but actually talking to people. Feet on the street is what I'd like to say. Hey, Ibit Da is here. Says, hey Tom, hope you've been good. I've been really good, Ibit Da. I wish the same for you, my friend. We are checking out the full moon over Miami here. And we just saw some dolphins, I think about 2 of them. And people are fishing here. Beautiful night, by the way. We had like a mini hurricane here. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. But for a New Yorker, it was a mini hurricane. It was crazy. There was wind. It was probably like 60 mile an hour wind and rain. But it only lasted 30 minutes at about 5 o'clock, 4:35. Mary Jane is here. Says, walks in Wall Street. Did you hear about the total economic collapse in Lebanon? They're saying it is a unique situation. The private banks and central banks and the country are all bankrupt. Yeah, so I think, piggybacking on what you say in that, I think we're going to start to see some collapses or more collapses in very, very small countries that don't have the resourcefulness as like the United States or Canada. And, you know, as we're seeing in Sri Lanka, we are having they're almost literally all out of petrol, completely. I believe at last report, there was only one day of supply left for the entire country. And you're starting to see riots and all types of crazy stuff. So hopefully we won't go into full contagion mode, but we'll see. I mean, still, I know I've been talking about this and beating it like a dead horse, but I'm still really, really concerned about the Chinese commercial paper market here. I don't think it's getting as much news coverage as I think it deserves. Every single day I start to skim the market and I see more and more big defaults on a lot of this commercial paper from Chinese property developers. And if you look at the valuations of Chinese properties, like apartments and other commercial spaces, the valuations are probably double that in the US, which is very, very concerning. Hola. Hey. So, I mean, that could go bust and unravel really, really quickly. And I think a lot of people would get hurt. But the only thing there is I'm not sure what the default risk would be to US banks. I'm not sure how much of this junk that US exposure or US banks have exposure to. If it's a lot, then it's a big problem. If it's not a lot, then it should be fine. But then again, I think a lot of people are expecting the CCP to come in and bail it out should there be massive, massive defaults on Chinese commercial paper. Murky says, how's the moon looking there, Tom? It's looking great. We do have a full moon. I think yesterday was that blood moon. I think at about 11:40 at night here in Miami. It was a full blood moon, which is pretty cool. But Murky, how are you doing? It's very good to see you. Strider 1239 says, Tom, wouldn't China step in and save the day? Well, I think that's what a lot of people are speculating, and I think that's why you're not seeing a lot of panic there. But if you look at a chart of some of these bond funds that hold this Chinese commercial paper, it's broken the lows of the COVID lows, which is crazy. So think about it like this. So during COVID, credit markets were totally locked up. I mean, totally frozen. You couldn't do anything, and for good reason. But now we are trading at levels well below the COVID 2020 crash. So if the Chinese commercial paper market and the credit markets were frozen then, I mean, what do you guys think it is now? I mean, I don't know. It's you know, there's an old saying, it's one thing to be right, and then there's one thing to be right too soon. So I don't think I'm going to be making any bets one way or the other. But it is concerning. It is concerning. The only reason why it's concerning is because I don't really know how much exposure US banks or Canadian banks or European banks have to all of this Chinese debt. But then again, I did think on a couple of earnings reports, or last earnings report, JP Morgan did start to take some write-downs and put some money aside for potential default risk there. Hey, War Walker, good to see you, my friend. War Walker, I actually had sushi for dinner tonight. What about you? Nice. I think they are shrimp they're fishing for. I think they're shrimp. You can see them jumping around. It's either shrimp or bait fish or something. Sabrina Fair says, Tom, Chase Bank is the first USA bank in China in the 70s. A little trivia there. Very cool. I didn't know that. Thank you for that, Sabrina. Triple G, good to see ya. Eyeglass Lady, welcome. Good to see ya. Pacific says the lunar eclipse from last night. Well, so in downtown Miami, there was a little bit of cloud cover, so I'm not sure we were able to see it here. But up further towards Sunny Isles and what's it called? North Miami Beach, it was actually pretty clear. I was able to see it really well. Samantha R says, have you ever been fishing, Tom? A couple times. I'm just not a big deep sea fisher because I tend to get seasick. I don't really do well on boats, to be honest, and that's why I refuse to go on any type of cruise. Yeah, the Ralph says Dolphin is probably down there feeding good. That is true. Hey, Daryl says, Tom, Action Kid is in South Beach. Well, maybe we'll see him coming over the bridge here. I think you could actually bike all the way from South Beach to downtown Miami. So maybe we'll see him coming across here. Who knows? Line Sync, welcome. Good to see you. STT57 says, Tom, Eastern Airlines was based in Miami. I didn't know that. Eyeglass Lady. Very cool. Yeah, I'll give you guys one more shot of the moon and then the water. Hopefully, as we are looking at Daryl from Chicago, it's good to see you.
Careful with this four-way hook there. I don't want you to step on it.
Oh, thank you. What are you guys fishing for here?
The shrimp are run a tiny bit.
Oh, really?
Not that much, but this guy in the shrimp boat, he don't need to come across us. He got thousands of feet of wall. And he'll throw this fucking rip his net on hell, but I don't like to be like that. There they are, the live shrimp. See them?
Oh, let me see.
Right there. You don't see that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. See, another one will come.
So can you eat these or what?
Well, those are the best eaten. Because see, all the shrimp you buy is previously frozen.
Wow, that's
These
insane.
taste 10 times better. They have a sweet flavor. They taste so much better,
Really? I didn't know.
I pull lobster out of here, sharks, everything, Everything's here. See, there's one.
Let me see. Yeah, can you guys see this on the street? Yeah,
Red eye?
Oh yeah, I see them all right there. You can see all the
Right
shrimp.
there.
So during the day, I see a lot of dolphins here, which are
They
beautiful.
live here, and they'll come here. He just whipped us tonight. He'll come right by and squirt you in the face. They love to play. See the red eye?
Hopefully they come by while we're here.
He just came by. Look at that shrimp. He just came by.
So do you eat these or do you use them for fishing or something?
We eat them and fish with them and sell them, but I mean, that's the best tasting shrimp in the world.
Trifecta, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's up and down, it's up and down.
And how's the water here? Is the water clean, like relatively?
It goes up and down because a cruise ship comes in and will get it all dirty and shit, and and
really?
It goes up and down. That's just fishing,
Nice.
But you just never know what you'll pull out, I mean, last week it was a black tip.
Very cool. Well, thank you for telling me about that. It's awesome.
Picture if I can get this phone to work once your fingers get wet.
Somebody here, or are they just
They're
always here?
Seasonal. No.
Oh, that's seasonal. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I show the
black
camera
tip.
here?
Go right ahead.
So guys, check this out. This is
Black tip shark.
And so you pulled this from the net, right?
No, I got him on a hook.
Oh wow. So this is a black tip shark?
Right. But see, this is really what I get.
Oh my God.
And
man.
I get him on a hook. I'm not diving.
And this is a lobster?
Yeah, it's for lobster. But see, the season's closed.
Wow.
That was right before it closed. I mean, I lost 2 last night. They'll whip you, but sometimes I'll go through 15 hooks, but
that's insane.
It's a challenge.
That's so cool.
I mean, you just never know what you're going to. The biggest thing we pulled out here was a 13-foot hammerhead. There goes one.
Oh, really? Wow.
I mean,
a hammerhead shark. Jeez.
13-footer. I mean, but there's 7-foot lemon sharks, there's blacktip, there's bonnet shark, everything's here. But it's just, it goes up and down.
The manatees too, right?
The manatees, yeah, and that's why you hate to see these people speed through here. Assholes, you know?
No, I know. That's a big problem.
Well, you heard the story about the balloons and all that shit. You saw that on TV.
I did. I saw that. Yeah, but well, supposedly they got him. You know.
Yeah, they got him. They arrested them both. But here's the thing: you're the captain. You know better than this shit. You're not supposed to live like that. You're the and what if he loses his captain's license? Now you're out of a job. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. Just be careful with that one.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, nice meeting you.
Good meeting you. Always a pleasure.
All right. All right. Yeah. So, guys, what he was talking about? There was an incident, I believe, last weekend. Where one of the yacht crews, or I believe it was a yacht captain, he was popping balloons and just tossing the rubber into the ocean, which is horrible because, I mean, if anybody's been to Miami, the water is like crystal clear, and just to egregiously pollute like that is terrible. But I think they caught the people that were doing that. Because, I mean, if you imagine, you know, if you throw balloons and plastic bags and water bottles and stuff like that into the ocean, you know, look what we saw tonight. We saw, you know, sharks, manatees, dolphins. You know, they have to eat that stuff, and that's not, it's not good. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that a little bit of an impromptu interview there. I learned a lot. Very cool. So they pull the shrimp out of there to eat it. Actually, fresh shrimp. Very cool. Hey, JF is here. What's up, JF? Says they arrested 2 people. Yeah, I think they got him. I think you're right. You're 100% right. Line Sync, thank you so much. Arnold is here. Melee says, I agree, keep the water clean. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest selling points for me to move to Miami, because even though, you know, I'm more of a, you know, a Jones Beach guy, you know, being on Long Island, even though Jones's Beach is beautiful, some of the beaches on South Shore, Long Island, beautiful, but it's nothing like Miami Beach. I mean, the water is so clean, and for people to just randomly dump, you know, garbage in the water is ridiculous. And so another key thing that guy said that was really telling, a lot of the manatees, especially the ones up by my house, you'll see all of these huge scars along the top of their heads and in their bodies. And that's actually from the rudders, I believe it's called, or the propellers. I'm not sure. I'm not too educated on boats. But when the boats go too fast in like a harbor like this, and they don't lift up their engines, and if I'm explaining this wrong, feel free to roast me in the comments, but the propellers actually hit the manatees and the wildlife and cause these insane scarring on their bodies, which is horrible. But there's signs all over to tell the boaters to lift up their motors, but many of them don't, which is unfortunate, to say the least. Yeah, Melee says, yeah, Jones Beach on the island. I'd say that, Tobay, and then Robert Moses Beach for all those New Yorkers in the chat. Tilt motors. Yeah, you got to tilt the... But Rich, good to see you. Nurse says, hey, Tom, Action Kid is live too. You both are in Miami. Yeah, so maybe we'll see Action Kid coming over the bridge there. But check out this drone. So a lot of people fly the drones over Miami and make amazing videos. And I think they're making one right now. You guys see it? To come out on the camera. There he is. Very cool. You know, I got to take off one day and show you guys what it looks like down here during the day. It's fantastic. Water Blazing, good to see you. Lisa, welcome. GGNYC, good to see you guys. So now we're gonna head back into Miami. I think we're gonna walk past the Paramount building. And then from the Paramount building, we're probably going to get on the Metro Mover and take that to Miami-Dade College, where we will see the Miami Mighty Bull. Hey, Mohammed is here. Welcome, Mohammed. Good to see you. Mohammed says, hey, Tom, good evening or good morning from Malaysia. Welcome. Hey, Arnold says, Tom, what do you think about the evolution of DeFi platforms drastically? Yeah, so Arnold, I think that DeFi as a whole has some potential. But, as I've been saying, I think the vast majority of these quote-unquote projects or alternative coins are definitely either outright scams or just securities in and of itself. And that's why I have been... I don't have any exposure to the altcoins, because just based upon my relative knowledge, my limited knowledge, I should preface that, of understanding of securities law, if I was working at the SEC and somebody asked me, hey, are these cryptocurrencies securities? I would say yes. And I'm a huge bull on the crypto market and the crypto space. Mainly Bitcoin, really only Bitcoin. I have a little bit of Ethereum, but all the other stuff, I think there's going to be a lot of rude awakening out there, because all of this stuff, these are unlicensed securities, regardless of what anybody wants to say, because essentially you're creating these tokens, you're not disclosing how many the founders have, and then you're soliciting them, and you're not licensed to. And that is a cause for concern and potentially a lot of jail time too. But I don't want to say that 100%. That's just my opinion, but my opinion means nothing. So I've stayed away from the altcoin market. I think a lot of that stuff to a head, especially after the big blow up of Terra Luna. I think that, that was a $40 billion blow up. That is huge. I don't think people realize how massive that was to go to zero like that overnight. There's definitely going to be some ramifications from that. There's going to be huge regulatory blowback from the SEC and other regulators over that huge Terra Luna. Talking about Terra Luna specifically, one of their protocols called for a 20% risk-free return if you lend out your stablecoin. Now, I mean, I think I understand you should always be on the investor's side and against the... I want to be very careful with my words here. And against the potentially nefarious activity. But I mean, guys, if somebody's offering you a 20 or 19.5% risk-free return, I mean, you just sort of got to use your common sense and say that's probably not real, and that's probably not sustainable. It doesn't matter if it's an algorithmic stablecoin. It doesn't matter how great the tech is. I think a lot and lose a lot of people money, and then the regulators are going to get involved. So I would just be very, very careful getting involved in anything like that, in my view. Roy S. is it more or less exactly the first anniversary week for the live stream? I think it is too. I think we've been exactly streaming 1 year on YouTube. Crazy, 1 year streaming on YouTube. Arnold says, Tom, so what do you think about DeFi exchanges? I just can't wrap my head around how regulation might happen there. Yeah, I mean, so I think if you take a platform like a Gemini or something like that, where Gemini does, I believe you can lend out but not like at egregious rates. I think if you lend out your Bitcoin, I think it can yield like 2% or something like that. But a lot of this unregulated stuff, I think, is going to go away in my view. I may be wrong, I may be right, but that's just in my view. I think a lot of stuff like that is going to go away. So the way I think about it is you don't have to be first to be really successful in something. And I think a lot of people are very excited chasing the next protocol or the next project that they FOMO in and just start buying it. But I don't think there's enough regulatory clarity on this stuff, because literally overnight, the SEC could flip a switch and say, hey, anybody who's buying this stuff or who continues to buy, there's going to be an ethical problem here. And if you're found to continue buying this stuff or soliciting it, there could be fines or penalties or fees. And a lot of these exchanges, like a Gemini, that are regulated exchanges, they could be forced to de-platform a lot of these projects. So that's just my view on it. Arum Z, so speaking of Gemini, what is your thoughts on the Gemini card? I have it and I like it. It's solid. So essentially, it's just like a regular credit card, but you're able to earn your cash back rewards via Bitcoin, right? So let's say if you have like a basic Discover or an American Express card and you get 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it is percent cash back in US dollars, with the Gemini card, you could just get it back in actual Satoshis or Sats or Bitcoin, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's interesting. And I like it so far. Amanda says the humidity is crazy, it sucks. Yeah, so Amanda, you're right. But the thing for me is I actually like it humid. I really, really enjoy the humidity. I know that may sound crazy, but it's true. I really enjoy the humidity. Hey, CG says, hey, Tom. Do you know anything about flash bots? I do not. But please enlighten us in the group. We would love to know. But check out the full moon here, everybody. So let's head towards the Paramount building, and maybe we'll jump on the Metro Mover here and head towards the Miami-Dade College so we could check out the Miami Bowl. So this is Northeast 2nd Avenue. And this is the Metro Mover station, Park West Station. Now into downtown Miami. Hey, maybe we'll run into him. It's very possible if he gets on the Metro Mover. Ramsey says, hey Tom, what's up? Good to see you, Ramsey. The topic of tonight's stream, we were talking about the Empire State manufacturing numbers. So if you type !Empire in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link to that report where you guys could read it in and of its entirety. Manufacturing is falling off a cliff in New York, which is unfortunate. This is the 3rd consecutive month in a row when manufacturing numbers are down across the board. So feel free to check that out. And so economists were actually projecting a decline, but numbers actually came in worse than the economists' horrible projections, which is not good. So that leads many to believe, could we be going into a recession here? And it's very possible that we are already in one, in which case, once we get the official print that yes, we are in a recession, I think a lot of people are going to freak out online and like, oh my gosh, the world is ending. But life is going to go on, right? We're probably going to pull out of this. It may take a while, but I'm confident that Number one driver here is the Federal Reserve, and the Fed is steadfast on its mission to tame inflation. Because at the end of the day, this is a midterm election cycle. And if the Federal Reserve does not get inflation under control, it's going to be a big issue, because the vast majority of voters don't own stocks. So the vast majority of people are not really going to be further, but they're really going to be impacted if inflation continues to ramp. People are feeling inflation at the gas pump. People are feeling inflation when they go to the grocery store. So I think that's going to be mission number one. And the Federal Reserve is committed to continuing to raise interest rates. At the last FOMC meeting, we did get a 50 basis point rate hike. However, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell did signal that a 75 basis point rate hike is off the table, to sort of try to cool markets and keep calmer heads to prevail. But June 1st is the day where we will be unwinding that nearly $9 trillion balance sheet, which is probably going to put a huge liquidity crunch in the market too. Hey Amanda, didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday. It's good to see you. Sabrina Fair says, Arnold Tom is a young pup and he has a desk job. The walking is good. Thank you. Arnold's like, Tom, I feel bad for your knees. Arnold says, Tom, do your knees hurt? You walk so much? Not really, and I mean, I'm used to walking a lot and running a lot. I did play soccer in my college days, and we would have to do like 36 to 40 miles a week just for the training. Arturo Flores says gas is $6 in beautiful wow, in California. It's $6 a gallon. That's insane. Well, crude oil is going back up. Well, I think we're at about $114 right now. Ticker symbol. It's insane. And there's places around the world that are in total shortage of petrol and fuel. But supposedly we're hearing some rumors that we are in the midst of a diesel shortage here in the United States. Not sure how much validity that holds, but there are some rumblings about that from some truck drivers saying that there is a diesel shortage or coming up on one. So everybody, this is outside the very famous Paramount building. This car is very cool. Check this out. Don Smith says Luna crypto may stop trading on May 27th. Yeah, I think that was probably going to go down in the history books as one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever, almost $40 billion. It's insane. And it's really unfortunate because a lot of people did lose a lot of money. I'm seeing some crazy stuff on some of these Reddit message boards, which is just horrible. Cynthia Beals, AK, is going over the MacArthur Causeway. Maybe we'll run into him. We'll see. Line 6 says people pay fortunes for gym memberships. Tom does the natural freeway. You know, I did used to pay for a gym membership before COVID, but I never really got back into it after the pandemic. I've just really been outside mostly. So the MacArthur Causeway connects South Beach to downtown Miami, is that correct? And it brings you directly outside. But here we are, Paramount Miami World Center. Hey, Dee is here, says this is the best time of year to grow a garden. So I've been able to pick some really cool mangoes out of my yard, which has been fantastic. Somebody says, where am I working out of? So I am working out of a WeWork style office. If anybody's heard of WeWork, those are the office sharing. So the main one here in Miami is actually in Brickell, which is a little bit further away from here. We're actually going to walk towards that location very soon. But then there's another one in the Southeast Financial Center. I just want to quickly point out, we may have to break out the skateboard because look at the roads. It looks like the city of Miami just completely redid all these roads. It looks like they repaved everything. Beautiful. You know, for the fun of it, everybody, just to check on the housing market here. Because we were talking about, for the first time ever, the median rental prices here in Miami are now $4,300. Isn't that crazy? To rent a place here in Miami is the median rent. But check this out. I was looking at some of the apartments here. I guess you could call them condos. But for an individual studio in these buildings, they go anywhere from $350,000 to $450,000 for a studio apartment. That's like being back in New York City again. I mean, am I right? For all the New Yorkers there, if you look at a studio apartment in Manhattan, probably the cheapest you're gonna get is right around $350,000. I mean, unless anybody could chime in and say that you've been seeing anything for less. Amanda says you could make some money off those mangoes. I actually have a lot. I have quite a few. Yes, Sierra C says that's ridiculous. Isn't it ridiculous? Ramsey says, hey Tom, what do you think about Bitcoin future? I think the future is extremely bright, and over the weekend I added a teeny bit to my very, very long-term position as we make our way closer to that 200-week moving average. And I've been writing about the 200-week moving average on Bitcoin for a long time in our Behind the Street newsletter, if you guys want to take a look at it, as well as on my Twitter. So if you want to follow @WalksWallStreet on Twitter. Going back to 2012, 2013, the 200-week moving average has been the place where large whales and institutions tend to accumulate their positions. And if we look at on-chain analysis now, the only people who are selling, well, number one, sell a ton of Bitcoin. I think about 80,000 to help try to keep their Ponzi scheme afloat. It didn't work. And that's why we saw this huge waterfall over. But look at how beautiful this is. This is all brand new, by the way. But if you look at the on-chain data or on-chain analysis, the people who are selling right now are the people who bought their Bitcoin in early 2021. So all the people that are new to the game. But if you continue to look at the on-chain data, the Bitcoin wallets that have been created in 2013 to 2017, they're actually buying those coins that the newbies are actually selling. So the people who've been in it for a while and who have anywhere from 10 Bitcoin or more are actually accumulating more at these prices. And the people who are buying in and creating relatively new wallets are the ones who are selling. And that's one of the things that I think is pretty cool about Bitcoin, is everything is so transparent because it's on the blockchain. You could see which wallets, where they bought them from, and how often they transact into them. So one of the funny things I think about is whenever the government or government officials say, oh, you know, Bitcoin, a lot of drug dealers and fraudsters use Bitcoin because it's you can have anonymity, and it really doesn't make any sense. I mean, if I was, because, you know, I took some forensic accounting classes in college, and just from taking those classes, it would be a godsend if a lot of criminals were to use Bitcoin, because you could literally track where they're sending it, what part of the world they're sending it to, what time of day they sent it, how frequently they send it, because every single transaction is immutable on the blockchain. Like you can't fake it, right? So if I steal 1,000 Bitcoin and I send it to my other Bitcoin wallet to cash it out, I know exactly where you sent it, when you sent it, and how you sent it. So yeah, it's just those are some of the cool things that you could sort of get into a rabbit hole from on-chain analysis, on-chain analytics. But everybody, check this out. We are right under the Metro Mover station, and there's so many brand new, beautiful apartments. It looks like this is just a brand new development. Hey, Gene Paul says Miami World Center is the second largest private development after the Hudson Yards. Wow, I didn't know that, Gene. James says 500K minimum in a nice area. Webley Coffee says Manhattan is $450,000 for a Midtown South studio. It's insane. You know, although if you go on Zillow right now and you look at some studio apartments in Manhattan on the Upper West Side, you can. And I know all the non-New Yorkers in the chat are like, what? $350,000 for a studio? This guy's insane. I know it's insane, but we're talking New York lingo here, where we are insane. We're nuts. Amanda, good to see you. Says, I'm 16 years old and have a little bit of money, and I'm wondering what would be a good investment for me. What do you recommend as a 16-year-old? If I was 16 again, I really wouldn't worry about investing. I would worry about learning and building a specific skill and get really, really good at that skill. So maybe you want to learn coding or programming language, right? I would really get good at that. Or maybe you want to go into sales. And from there, you're going to increase your income extremely, extremely fast, especially if you start thinking about this stuff at 16. Have a solid stream of income and a good career going, or whatever you want to do. From there, I think you could focus on the investment piece, because when you have work experience under your belt, you're going to understand business a little bit better. I think people try to do it in the reverse. They try to really understand investing before they've ever worked somewhere. Because when you have a job, especially at a Fortune 500 company, you're going to learn the processes and procedures of what it takes to manage people, the hierarchy system or structure in a business. You're going to understand the inner workings of a business in terms of profitability. So if you're on the sales side, if you're selling a particular piece of software, hardware, whatever it is, you'll understand, okay, we don't want to sell it at this price because that's going to kill our profit margins or our gross margins. And when you understand this type of stuff, over the long term, you're probably going to be a better investor. So if I was 16 years old again, I would look at the sectors of the economy that are growing the fastest. I would pick a vertical and I would set a laser focused target. So maybe you want to double down on, being a full stack. I would focus all my time and effort into that and do that. And then when you're a little bit older and you have some money saved and things, will start to chug along, then you could double and triple down on the investment side of things. But if you want to read a good book, if you read Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle, I think you're really going to enjoy it. And you don't have to pay anything for it either. If you go online, there's a free audiobook, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by Jack Bogle. It's a fantastic book. And it'll teach you about the general concept of indexing in the market, which is just buying basic index funds. And then from there, you could learn about individual securities analysis by listening to people like DeModern, who is a professor of finance at NYU. You could read Phil Fisher's Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits, which is also another classic. Hey, Roland YT, what's up? Good to see you. Hope you're well. We are in downtown Miami, but we're going to walk towards Miami-Dade College. Check out the bowl. NE's only thing I disagreed with about Bogle was his lack of international exposure. So NE, it's interesting you say that. I used to agree with that premise as well. But if we think about just the risk, well, you know, many emerging markets have outperformed places like China and other stock markets. I think just the instability of a government makes it too risky to invest there. But it's a good point. Lisa says, yes, Tom is a giver of great advice. Yeah, if I was 16 again, I would spend every second trying to be the best. I would pick one programming language and I would run with it. But I would also say, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to do front-end web development, back-end, and then learn the appropriate programming language for that? Because, you know, there's a lot of people right now that don't even have a traditional 4-year college degree. They've just gone through coding boot camps and things like that. And since those particular skills are so in demand in the marketplace, if you can pass the tests and say, hey, you know, I'm the best Python developer out there. I've been through these boot camps. This is what I built. You do all the coding questions and you ace them. That pays probably 100,000 plus. XOXX Bob says, didn't Vanguard have international funds? So Vanguard still does have international funds. Vanguard has every single product under the sun, but I think that's just to stay competitive with everybody else on Wall Street. But Jack Bogle and John Bogle was very vocal about just basic indexing. But check this out, everybody, right here. So just to give you some perspective, this is 1000 Museum. We were actually just walking right here. But if we go all the way over here, this is FTX Arena. And right here is going to be the tallest residential apartment building south of New York City. It's actually going to be as tall as One World Trade Center, minus the spire at the top. And it's going to look like this. It's going to be called the Waldorf Astoria. And it's almost going to look like the Jenga building. Ryan Royal says, I was considering a cybersecurity boot camp. Wasn't sure if it was a good idea. Yeah, well, cybersecurity is one of those I think is going to be as big of a growth trend as home health care. I think, did anybody know that the fastest growing job in America was a home health aide? Did anybody know that? Crazy, right? About 3 or 4 years ago, I was reading an amazing piece. I still save the piece today. An Investors Business Daily article outlining this particular software company. And it said in the article that, like, many people don't know this, but home health care or home health aides are the fastest growing profession or career in the United States. And ever since that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, that total addressable market is going to balloon. And I spent all of my time at my previous company. I said, look, I live in New York City. I'm going to go to the Brooklyn. And I am going to talk to every single home health care agency in the New York tri-state area, and I'm going to do business with them. And that's really all I sold into. My entire sales career at my previous company was home healthcare agencies. So I sold them traditional telecom and EVV software, or electronic visit verification software, thousands upon thousands of units. And I think that's another reason why it's good to a lot of people say, oh, you shouldn't read the Wall Street Journal, you shouldn't read Investors Business Daily because it's old news. I get that, but I'm not trying to trade off of what I read in the paper. I want to get a better understanding of what sectors in the economy are growing so I could position myself not only from an investing standpoint, but from a career standpoint, right? Have I never read that article, I would never have known the amazing opportunities in home healthcare, and I would have never sold those software products into home healthcare. I probably would have been spinning my wheels somewhere else. So I think it's important to sort of stay in tune with the market that way. But here we have the city. Very cool. Hey, James is here. What's up? Future endeavors. There's a ton of turnover in the home healthcare industry. Yeah. So future endeavor, you're 100,000% right. So one of the solution that I sold, it was a multifaceted solution. So I would walk into home healthcare agencies understanding that their problem was employee turnover. So I said, what if we can give you a solution that would not only increase your employer retention, but would also increase your EVV compliance rate? These aides with the tools that they needed to do their job, because a lot of the time C-level executives at companies, they can get very, very detached from the day-to-day life and the day-to-day activities of their employees. So as a consultant, your job is to sort of rationalize with them and say, look, if you want to increase your retention, you need to stop thinking like a C-level executive getting paid $200,000 and $300,000 a year, and you need to start to think like your aides that are making $15,000 to $20 an hour, and from there, once you put yourself in that frame, yo, it's Action Kid. What's up? Well, let's see, Action Kid. What's up, man?
Hey, turn this off.
Are you still live?
No, I ended.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Guys, what's up?
There's always a bull market someplace.
Exactly.
You don't know where to look.
Exactly. There we go.
That's right.
Dude, how long were you streaming? You came all the way from South Beach?
Yeah.
Dude, nice. That's awesome, man. Did you rent that or is that yours?
It's mine.
Nice. So what is the top speed on this thing? Check this out.
Let me get off the road.
Yeah, let's get. Guys, we have. This is like the 6th time running into AK here. That's awesome.
This is it goes up to like 19 miles an hour.
Dude, 19 miles an hour on that must feel like fast.
It is.
Are you headed home now?
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, oh, so this is how you stream?
Yeah, on the scooter. GoPro chest mount, and then I have a cell phone adapter. Just use it.
So what is the stabilization is fine like that?
The iPhone does most of the stabilization. It's
Oh, really?
Like jerky, right?
Dude, that is so sick, man.
Yeah.
That's dope. Are you headed this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can walk with us if you want.
All right. I'll walk a little bit.
Yeah, we were just talking about home healthcare actually,
Oh yeah.
because we were saying that the fastest growing profession or career in the United States is actually the fastest growing job. Like if you were to say, it's definitely not the most lucrative job, but we were saying if we look at the economy as a whole and what are the fastest growing segments in the economy, it's home healthcare. And it's for a couple of reasons, because so many people are getting older. You have 100,000 people retiring every single day in the United States. So I think a lot of good investment opportunity is going to be in software companies that service home healthcare agencies, and also people who own the agencies. What we were talking about today.
Yeah, my family used a home healthcare service. It was operated by the visiting nurse services
of New York. That's one of my customers. That was one of my largest customers. Yeah.
Okay.
Visiting nurse service in New York and Ultimate Care. Those are like the two ones. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what was your experience with that? Was it because there's two types of aides. One is just a traditional home health aide, and then the other one's like an actual visiting like RN, like nurse.
Oh, I didn't have that.
Oh, it was just like a helper to come and like clean up and things like that?
Yeah.
Ah,
right.
Got it. Very cool, man.
Yeah, but our experience with that was kind of mixed because they never really had like the right people on staff, and they always had to like get temporary people. It was very difficult.
Yeah, so like the turnover. So somebody said that same exact thing in the chat. We were like, the employee retention is horrible at these agencies.
Horrible.
So somebody may be so accustomed. You may have a patient that's like, hey, this is my aide. I'm getting to know them. They're great. And then the next day, oh, we don't have anybody to come and we need a new person.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's right.
Yeah, so the products that I would sell is like to try to increase those employee retention, but at the same time, try to increase the EVV compliance. Because another issue I'm not sure if you ran into was some of the aides, not all of them, would clock in and out, but they wouldn't actually be at the patient's home.
Yes.
Oh, so that happened to you?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's no good. So the software that I sold,
they would call in, and then the
yeah.
problem with that is they don't know where the location where they're calling from.
Yeah, so the software that this company developed, which I sold a ton of the software, you have to have the GPS coordinates locked on your device. So once you clicked clock in and out, if you weren't, the GPS didn't show that you were in Queens or the Bronx, it would not pay you. So we solved all of that issue, and to your point, it was a huge problem.
That's right.
Damn, dude, that's such a small world that you went through that. But yeah, everybody's saying the same thing in the chat.
Yeah. Hi everybody in the chat room.
Yeah, guys,
I don't think I said hi.
Yeah, we got Action Kid here. And for everybody probably already knows Action Kid, but if you don't, please check him out. Probably one of the largest streaming channels on YouTube. So please check him out. And I was watching your lunar thing last night.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's either one of these.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, you.
Hey, what's up? Good to see you. Hey, yeah, this is Walks on Wall Street and Action Kid. He's also a big streamer.
How are you?
Hey, thanks for watching, man.
Yeah, hey.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Good to see you. Assuming you're on one of the.
Yeah.
Dude, so nice. I was telling these guys, I was looking at, just for fun, at a studio on this block. The cheapest one was $450. I was like, oh my god. Yes, the cheapest one. And I think, I'm not sure.
There's cheaper ones than that.
Really?
Yeah.
So
you can get some under 400 for sure.
I was looking at the building, you know the Southeast Financial Tower right here?
Yeah.
The big one. The WeWork building is on the 20th floor. There's that apartment building right next to it. The cheapest one is $450.
Wow.
Yeah, and less than 800 square feet.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so I, just for the fun of it, I said, okay, I'm going to put in, like, so a real estate person could contact me. And they said, are you ready to make an offer? I'm like, no. Then like, no, you can't see it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how crazy it is, man. It's nuts.
Yeah.
That's sick. But but yeah, are you gonna head back to your?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll. But guys, Action Kid, check him out on YouTube. So Action Kid lives down here in Miami, so he's gonna check out. But if you want to see some insane, more action-packed streams than mine, because he scooters around, and maybe we'll get Action Kid on the skateboard.
Yeah. I'll try.
One day.
I don't know how, but
I'll teach you. I'll teach you some. But AK, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll stream Wynwood.
Yeah.
If I can get that tri-sim, or you'll have to show me. But dude,
Yeah.
good running into you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, AK. Oh, so what are they? So I was gonna. Have you been to the Paramount building by there?
Yeah, I have.
Dude, they took all of the sidewalks and widened them, so there's new bike lanes all over.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So if you check that out too, I was gonna.
Miami Avenue, I think. Over there.
I think they may do that here. If they do that, I'll probably skateboard down here.
Yeah, that's nice.
But if here is too dangerous, I think.
Yeah.
But here, everything is open now, and with bike lanes.
Just this one block. They're gonna make all the blocks like this up to I think like 2 blocks past Miami Avenue. It's gonna be really nice.
Dude, nice. Yeah, and it looks like there's a Walgreens there. This used to all be tarped off here, so it couldn't even go.
It's nice.
Damn, dope.
All right.
But man, dude, good running into you, man. This is like we run into each other every day. I'll see you tomorrow. Probably. See you, man. We run into Action Kid every day. That's so sick. Photos around New York says skateboarding is easy. Yeah, it is. Definitely is. Ed says you got to do Wynwood. So I was thinking about doing Wynwood. I think the only streamer who does Wynwood is AK, because he has, I think it's this tri-sim where it could roam on all different carriers, but I only have Verizon, so I don't think I'll be able to, what's it called, stream there, because it's going to buffer, and Verizon doesn't work very well in Wynwood. Daniel G is here. It says, hey Tom, good evening, and good evening everybody. Tomorrow is the last day of COVID lockdowns. Oh my God. I didn't know. What's it called? Argentina. That's horrible. Oh guys, we are on 6% battery, so we may have to end it now actually. Shaggy123 says, funds raised are used to offset government borrowing and are refundable to the bond owner on demand. Ooh, I think that guy just blew out his tire. But Shaggy123, good to see you. Craig M says, what's an affordable neighborhood in Wynwood? I actually think Wynwood is one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Miami now. You know, if anybody's familiar with Greenpoint, Brooklyn, it's very similar to that. If anybody's familiar with Greenpoint, Brooklyn, it's very, very similar. Two Wheel Pine says, thanks Tom, catch you on the next live, hopefully, yes. So I think my phone has been running out of battery a little bit earlier than normal, but then again, I think it's because we have the brightness on auto. Yeah, James, 20 years ago, Greenpoint was not anything like it is now. Greenpoint is extremely expensive here. Oh, Daniel G, geez. Well, hopefully you're better now. Daniel G says he got COVID, so hopefully you have a very, very speedy recovery. But guys, yeah, we will have to end it. I do have to get the bus, and we are on 3% battery now. But everybody, thank you for joining. We will be live tomorrow, maybe in South Beach. I see the one and only Jimmy Anderson is here. Jimmy, what's up? Jimmy is the founder of the Beer and the Bets podcast. So Jimmy, good to see you. Check out Beer and Bets podcast. Everybody, thank you so much for joining tonight. I think we had good conversations, fun stream, good running into Action Kid. So Mohammed, thank you for joining. Mr. Ming, Roland YT, Sally, Lisa, everybody. Thank you so much. I will be sending out the Behind the Street newsletter tomorrow, the 22nd edition. So please, after the market closes, check your spam. It will be in your inbox. So everybody, take it easy. Have a great Tuesday. And to the mighty, there's always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. And I'll see everybody right back here tomorrow.